going to go ahead and get started because we have so much good stuff to talk about today. So before we get started, I wanted to go over a couple of announcements with y'all. First of all, Steve has asked me to let you know that as you and I sit here, he is off delivering these, which is a flag of an American flag and a Mississippi state flag, the actual state, not the school, to all of the fourth graders in Union County. Now, he's not doing all of that today. Today, he's at Ingmar, and over the next little bit, all of the fourth graders will receive these flags, and we'll have a presentation about Mississippi history, and that is through a very generous contribution by Miss Betsy and Representative Sam Creekmore, as well as a partnership through the museum. And then we are also getting ready to transition from our year children's programming. We just finished our last after-school day program Tuesday, and we're getting ready to transition to Lego Club for kids. So that'll be a weekly event that you should definitely invite your kids and grandkids to come to, and that will be every week during the summer and fall, and I will have dates for that a little bit later. And then, of course, we want to invite you to our Union County Master Gardeners Spring Plant Sale this Saturday. And you'll notice in front of you on the table, you got a lot of paper in front of you today. One of those papers, the white paper, is a list of all these announcements. And on that sheet, it says March, but that is incorrect. It's this Saturday, May 17th. We're not time travelers, okay, so we're going to do it this weekend. And it's cash only, so if you want some of these beautiful plants, make sure that you come with full wallets. Okay, so we also have the William Faulkner Knitting Club on the first and third Wednesday of every month. And if you can't knit like me, that's all right. You're still welcome. We have ladies who do quilting, spinning, we have crochet, we have just about any handicraft that you can imagine goes on at the knitting club. So you should definitely come check that out. And then we also wanted to let you know that Thursday, May 22nd, the Tallahatchie Suzuki Violin Association recital will be here in this room at 5:30, and they would love for you all to join us. That is open to the public, and that is Mr. Chris Thompson's students, some really young students up through high school perhaps, and they're really talented, so you'll want to come check them out. And then on May 24th through the 26th, so that's Saturday, Sunday, Monday, we will be closed for Memorial Day. And then we also wanted to let you know about our watercolor class coming up on Tuesday, May 27th at 6, and that's going to be in the art house. And if you believe it, I have another page, okay? I'm going to roll through this pretty quick. Okay. So Wednesday, May 28th at 2 o'clock, we have started a book club here at the museum, and we would love for you all to attend. This month, we are reading West with Giraffes by Linda Rutledge, and that is a historical fiction about giraffes, believe it or not, but other things too. And then we have a couple of programs for kids during the summer that we don't have during the year, so we wanted to make you aware of that in case you have some kids in your life who might be interested in joining us. So the first of those is our free summer art classes during June and July. And during June, we have art classes every Tuesday from 10 to 12 for first through third graders. And then we have different art classes in July for fourth through sixth graders. And that'll be every Tuesday. And then on June 14th, which is a Saturday, we have the much anticipated Fossil Road Show. So you'll want to bring all your fossils and come check that out. Then you'll notice another one of the mini papers in front of you today is the brochure for summer camp for kids. So we have 30 slots available. It's from 9 to 12, June 16th through 20th. And you are welcome to come up after, and I can answer any more questions you have about that. You can sign up for the entire week, or you can sign up by the day. We have different activities every day. It's $50 for children who are members of families who are a member of the museum. So if the kid's parent or grandparent is a member of the museum, $50. If not, it's $75. Okay, that was a whole lot. That's why we have the sheet in front of you as well. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to talk to you about it after. And so now I'd like to get to why you're really here today, which is Miss Betsy Hamilton and Brittany Clark, who are going to talk to us about reimagining the park along the river. So thank you very much.
Old Germany.
Good job.
Hey y'all, can you hear?
Yes.
Do we need this? Can you hear us? We can hear you now. Okay. All right, here we go, Brittany. The tag on this. Okay. Y'all, thank you so much for coming today. Really excited to get to talk to a room of folks, friends, family, and y'all even a visitor all the way from Chicago came today.
Hello. Welcome.
Just happened to walk through the museum and did a great day.
I went to one of the stores in the downtown area and they said there's an event going on at the museum.
And they have lunch.
Well, but I did give a nice contribution to.
Oh, thank you.
So I did, but this, and this is serious. This town is a gem. It really is. I did not expect it. Honestly, I was on my way to Tupelo to see Elvis's house, and I stopped.
You chose Faulkner instead.
Exactly. Well, my late father, he was a college history professor. He said, if you're ever in, we stop at the museum. And I needed gas, so it was a double whammy. So, but then I was driving around. I'm like, the only problem I had problems finding the museum because I was going kind of in a big. Google Maps was not good for that. I was going in a kind of a circle. So, but thank
That's
you.
great.
Appreciate it.
And you got some chocolate cakes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Y'all, just so happy to be able to start a conversation. About the park project. And so kind of want to just talk to you all and y'all can spread the word about the who, why, where, what, and when, because everybody's got questions. And this is going to be real informal. Brittany, this is Brittany Clark. Brittany was in our leadership class and is a nurse practitioner here and has her clinic. What is it? Family Clinic of New Albany. And very involved in this project. And for y'all that don't know me, I'm Betsy Hamilton, and I've been involved in this project too. Anyway, just want to start with been lots of articles in the paper about what's going on at Park Along the River, the gem park, the central park in our town, and it's been around now and has served us for about 35 years. On your table, you've got a brochure, and we're kind of just going to follow it and go into a little more detail. Some of you may or may not know that the Tallahatchie River has had some notable people stand on its banks, as in Meriwether Lewis, Fernando Soto, Civil War, Catherine Dye, Walter Johnson. So focusing and that the name is the Rock Bottom or Rocky River, right, Glen, and we are in the homeland of the Chickasaw, so it's historic. It is, and so look at the park, and just want to mention that in April of 1987, and you may have seen this before, local artist Catherine Dye shared her dream of a new Riverside Park. And I feel so connected with this project to Catherine because I may be the only one in the room that remembers a night that she called and said, what do you think about making a park out of that area on Central, the wooded area? Has nothing but tires and stuff in it. Sounds like a great idea. Let's do it. That night, I mean, not that night, but a few months or so later, she presented to the city alderman her vision and her plan she sketched for a riverside park. And y'all, this sketch, I wish I had it bigger, is a riverside drive, just about from Bankhead Bridge to I-22. I-22, Bankhead. She did it. Years later, like in pre-COVID, New Albany had gone through a strategic comprehensive plan. And out of that plan came the desire for river access and recreation along the river, for the recreation aspect and to capitalize on the river because it runs exactly through our town. And during that time, or right after that, we were actually a couple of years after, at the museum. Jill and some of us were down here visiting with representatives from the National Park Service. And we were standing up in the front just talking about New Albany and using the river and the comprehensive plan. And they told us that we should consider applying for their Rivers, Trails, and Conservation Assistance Program. There was no money in this grant, but that we would get a comprehensive or conceptual plan to do river access and be able to, use the river more. So we applied for the grant, and lo and behold, we got it. And this is the plan. So what happened was there were numerous public meetings, lots of conversations, lots of ideas floated around, and this is what came out of it. This is Bankhead. This is I-22. This is Catherine Dye's plan.
And I don't think they had
seen
this.
No, y'all. Which I just found. I don't know, Glenn. Lynn, I don't know if you have a copy of this in your office from the Gazette or not, but actually, just cleaning out the drawers at my house, I found this, and then we had this, and that is this document that came out of the National Park Service, conceptual master plan and recommendations for development of Catherine Dye's Riverside Park. Crazy. Meant to be. So that is the how, I guess, that we got to this point, in a sense. This is the park along the river. And so you take the National Park Service plan, but what do we do with it? Well, we start looking at their recommendations. And one of it was to form a public-private partnership, a nonprofit organization in partnership with the city so that you can raise public funds and private funds to make things happen. And out of that, is the Little Tallahatchie Riverway Conservancy. So we just copied what other people are doing. The Wolf River Conservancy, the Hatchie, I think, that's in Tippah County and goes into Benton, I think. So we just did what other communities do that have rivers running through their town or in their county, whatever, in their state. So then we have the Conservancy. And how do we get this plan going? And at the same time, within the community, there were conversations about a leadership class. People have been talking, UCDA, Unite, whatever. We've been talking Bill Nanny and who else? Michael Brown, the old UCDA former member, presidents and committees, and just talking about doing a young adult emerging leadership class. And all this just kind of came together all at once, one thing happening than the next. So we formed the leadership class, and then most leadership classes throughout the state and whatever, that class has a project. And so rather than having to think of a project, we had a project in mind. It would just not be multiple projects. It would be one big one. And so this girl was a part of the leadership class. And they took this project and ran with it. Thank you.
Thank you for letting us run.
So that kind of gets us to the what really happened with the park. Just in conversations. Let me back up 1 minute. So Catherine, this vision that Catherine sketched came from, I believe, a trip to San Antonio. And because she mentioned several times that if San Antonio can do this, we can too. And so that was her inspiration. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that the other strong woman in this community that went with Catherine Dye to present this to the aldermen. And these two women were extremely influential to me. And that was Hilda Hill. So Hilda and Catherine worked side by side in getting this going. And so right as COVID was opening up, and this so connects me back to this project too. San Antonio was her inspiration for the river, for the whole river park. The playground hit me in Savannah, Georgia, at Forsyth Park. And there was all these nature-themed play elements. So I pulled out and Tom and I we were coming out of COVID. Tom and I had taken a little trip to Savannah and went to Forsyth and walked around, did what you do when you go visit parks and other areas. And I saw the playground, so I got my phone out and I took a picture of a couple of items, and then I got the name of the company off of one of the play elements. And so as we searched those, did a little research on that company, and we found a Mississippi rep. Then this group, the leadership class, we got him to come, and he was one of our programs. Do you know?
Yeah, he met with our playground committee.
Worked with the playground committee, and then that's kind of how we got started, how we got to where we are with I missed this plan. So this plan came out of after we got the class involved. To get other grant, we learned about the MOST grant from one of our the rep, yeah, and from Play Core and Game Time, and we had to be able to apply for the grant. We needed we needed to know, where we're going. We had to have a visual for the park. And so through the Mississippi Heritage Hills, we were able to get a grant from them to come up with a conceptual plan. And then that plan changed and changed and changed, and this is the final plan. So, for now, yeah, it is. So, I'm going to let Brittany talk to you just a little bit about that process and what we've got for the children and for all of us.
Hello. I want to, two things before I get started on that. I want to congratulate this lady right here for receiving the Jack Reed Jr. Senior Community Leadership Award yesterday at the Create Foundation State of the Movement meeting. Very deserving for all the many contributions to our community and our state. And she's not even done yet. So
I'm not done. Thank y'all for not kicking me out yet.
I think what did Billie Jean compare you to, the anthill?
The ant mound.
That you just keep poking.
Just don't stomp on it yet.
And also I wanted to say about this conceptual master plan, when I was working on the MOST grant, I had basically memorized that back and forth, and the recommendations that they brought forward for what could be with that area were taken from all of the pre-community meetings where the community was invited to come out and prioritize what the needs and the wants in our community were. So this isn't just a group of people sitting in here making decisions for the whole community. This is based off of those surveys, questionnaires, and discussions that were that took place during that time when they were formulating all of these recommendations. And leadership, one of our early sessions, we were meeting with the playground rep, and I can't remember his name, but the guy had said, when we were talking about Parkapalooza, the event that we're having, or we were working on our first one at that time back in 2023 to try to raise some money to get started on this. And, when you're raising money, you're like, no problem. But then when you start seeing how much things cost, I don't know if y'all know about inflation, but it's a thing. And our numbers from 2023 are different today than, what were projected. But we needed bigger money than what we could raise at one community event. But the community got behind us big time, and we were able to raise $30,000 almost that very first event. And then we matched that during the second event. But the playground rep told us about the MOST grant. I remember him saying, y'all need to work on the MOST grant. Y'all need to look into that. And the deadline was, a month away. And we were like, it's not probable, but I like to just shoot for the moon anyway. Ask my husband over there sometimes. I get a little carried away, but God has a way of working things out.
But she said she was going to do it, and so she did.
Yeah, I was a little determined. Well, I kind of wanted to prove y'all wrong, too, because when y'all said I couldn't, there's no way we could get it done. Right. But, man, it was so much more in-depth than what I had ever imagined. That was the first grant I've ever written. So no previous experience on this, but luckily I was well armed with.
But she was a journalism major, too. I mean, she was a nurse practitioner, but she was a journalism major.
For a little bit. Till I decided to do the healthcare thing. But Billie Jean and Jill and Miss Betsy helped me. They were great resources. And I sat in this museum back there in the library and did a lot of the research that was needed for that grant. The MOST grant, Mississippi Outdoor Stewardship Trust Fund, was established to enhance outdoor recreation and conservation in the state of Mississippi. It is funded by appropriations from legislation, but also from sales tax collected on outdoor recreation and sporting goods in the state. So it did not create a new tax, but it redirected taxation that was already in place to help make improvements in these areas. And I learned during that research that we have two endangered species of freshwater mussels that run in our river. The king of the Chickasaw Nation, and I cannot say his name, but it's on a plaque and it starts with an I. Ishtahodba. That's the one. He had a lot of love for the river, I'll say that. And Hernando de Soto crossed the river here. And what was Clark's first name? There was Meriwether Lewis, and then William Clark. Okay, you think he's related to us? But they spent time on the Tallahatchie River, and but those notable names are great. But think about all the people that have lived here over the years that have made memories and spent time in the river. And the river didn't always look like it does now, I learned also. But I found a new appreciation for it in that learning throughout writing that grant. And whenever you were talking about in Forsyth Park in Savannah, Georgia, did you sit on the Forrest Gump bench? The Forrest Gump bench is out there at that park. It's a good bench. But we had taken our two children to Chattanooga, which is where Play Corps' headquarters are. And we were on a carriage ride when I saw their building. I was like, I've got to call Miss Betsy. That I found the headquarters. I'm about to go in here and talk to these people. And then we went to the zoo, and when we were at the zoo, lo and behold, we walk up on this it's a playground, but it's nature grounds is what it's called. I couldn't think of the word. And it was the exact same equipment that we had been looking at to put in our community here, and we couldn't drag the kids off of it. It's a beehive that they can climb through, and caterpillars that they can ride on and jump on, and there's so many. Our park is a special place to be, right in the middle of a town and still be surrounded, to feel like you're just in the middle of the woods. You're in nature out there, even though there's all kind of industry and commerce around you. And we have a beautiful asset in the river there that's underutilized, and so it's important that we make better use of it going forward for our current residents and the generations that are coming forward in the future. I lost my spot in my brain. Hang on. It'll come back. Go ahead.
Through the process of going through and picking the types of play elements and the playgrounds and things for the children, through Play Corps, we were very intentional in making this a nature-themed area, continuing how Catherine saw it from the very beginning, and not making it futuristic play elements, but all nature related, and have some educational components to it. And there were 5 areas that Play Corps is a company that has partnered with some recreational health things through, I think maybe North Carolina State or something, one of the North Carolina schools. No, it was the College of Design, North Carolina State University. Anyway, their main area is nature grounds. And so if we follow their best practices and develop this type of area, and also the other focuses that they have, talk to them about the health, these.
So these are 5 elements. They're evidence-based. There's lots of research out to support the data that if you deliberately design your playground to include these elements, that your communities are going to reap the benefits tremendously from it. There's evidence out there to support that these particular elements will bring inclusion and kind of reintegrate nature back into play for kids. There's too much screen time for children in our society today, and less appreciation for nature than even when I was growing up, which was only 29 years ago. Just kidding. But the play on is one element that promotes physical fitness throughout the course of the play. So these, and there's pictures up here of a lot of it, but and y'all can come look at it if you're interested at all. But the main feature is a tree house, and it has composite around it that actually looks like you're in a tree, and so that keeps that element there for the nature aspect of it. And but there's so many different physical exertions and manipulations like swinging, jumping, bending, um, crawling. There's different movements that really promotes physical development and physical health improvements in kids when they're playing on it. So yes, they're playing, they're having fun, but they're also doing movements while they're playing on this equipment that helps their bones and their muscles develop better. And um, another element is the play together, which it makes it a multi-generational and inclusive playground. So any age or any ability of a person, they're still going to find something they can play with within this playground, whether they have a physical um, incapacity that doesn't allow them to, to walk without crutches or a wheelchair. They're still going to have things to do in this playground. And there's room so that a grandparent or a parent can go play with their small child within this playground without hurting or pulling anything like I usually do when I'm trying to play with my kids. But um, there's sensory elements to it for kids that have problems with overstimulation. In the big playground, there's one side of it's more for 5 to 12-year-olds, and then 2 to 4-year-olds have another large area to play with or play in. And that photo is kind of represented here, where it's, the larger aspect, and then this smaller one. Trying to pull the arts into it as well. There's a spot for them to do little plays outside, and little mushroom chairs for them to sit on, and a zip line that is accessible. And it's just a lot of different things trying to be integrated into this design so that everybody can enjoy it. Yes.
So you see the map on the inside. So this area here is the big signature feature. And we've got to keep in mind that Brittany didn't say about the $2 million. That was the grant from most that we're using now to start. That grant is only for the foundational work, the hardscape, dealing with the drainage issues, new parking, new trails, all of the hard stuff, getting it ready for all of the fun stuff. So that's what is going to be going on first. The rest of it, we still have to raise about $4 million. So, it's kind of like, well, why did y'all do that? It's kind of like just asking Santa Claus for everything that you want for Christmas and hoping you get something. So that's kind of how we approach this. And I forgot to say that in addition to forming the public-private partnership that National Park Service suggested that we do, also in there was, okay, so how do we get started with this? Is to pick the low-hanging fruit. And the low-hanging fruit was the 30-year-old park that was in the city, because the city already owned that property. So that was what was really the inspiration for all of this. And so then with the master plan that was done by Bob Mercier, who was from here, this was the big concept. So this is the new play area. And that's where Brittany is talking about most of these elements are. And this is $1 million. So it will be about like what Tupelo is doing at Ballard Park with their big new feature, except ours is all nature themed.
I don't remember where I was again, but okay, so I'm actually going to open up the brochure so I can kind of have some guided conversation here. Oh yeah. So you see where the large playground area is, which is where the former equipment that was just moved to the sportsplex was at now. And then there's a ton of swings coming in. There's climbing logs. There's climbing mounds. There's many different areas kind of away from that are included in the whole picture there. But if you look all the way, kind of halfway to the amphitheater there's a little brown circle, tan circle there, and that is going to be an adult outdoor fitness center. And so this yes, that will be free equipment for public use, and that allows access where there are many individuals in our community who cannot afford to go to the gym. They cannot afford a membership, and there's a lot of
how we approach this. And I forgot to say that in addition to forming the public-private partnership that National Park Service suggested that we do, also in there was, okay, so how do we get started with this? Is to pick the low-hanging fruit. And the low-hanging fruit was the 30-year-old park that was in the city, because the city already owned that property. So that was what was really the inspiration for all of this. And so then with the master plan that was done by Bob Mercier, who was from here. Also a part of play course, one that I really loved was their Pathways for Play. And these are little pockets of play elements that are tucked along the pathway. So when children and their grandparents or their adult friend, whoever's with them that's playing with them in the big area, they start walking the trails and around the trails throughout the park in this area they're 5 play pockets. And they each are nature themed, and that's what Brittany was talking about. There's one of them that's themed as a bee, and that's the honeycomb. So they get to climb on different elements that are nature related, and then in that area, there's also, well, this one happens to be, you got the bee. Okay, there's also a little leaf, so it's a little educational that tells you a little bit, tells the child, the grandparent, the parent, can explain to them about bees. We do butterflies. We've got a pond element and tree dwellers. So there are 5 of those. And those 5 play pockets were funded by Toyota and NEEF, NEEF. That's the National Environmental Education Fund. And the National Environmental Education Fund came out of National Park Service and doing environmental education and conservation. And so because of that, let's see, NEEF was $150,000 and Toyota was $60,000. So together they funded the 5 play pockets. So that's sort of how we are proceeding with fundraising for the rest of the elements and different areas throughout the park is getting sponsors, which we are working on diligently now. Do you have Pilot Club would like to do the music area, has expressed interest in that. Rotary, I believe, is doing the boulders. Do you have?
Oh, yeah, we don't have a
Yeah,
picture
you have
of the boulders. I don't think that's the play area. Oh, yeah, they
Yeah.
are in the background there.
So there are these three sections around right here on your map. This is a big swing section. This is a boulder. They're climbing boulders so that children can climb on big rocks, kind of like we have outside of the museum, except these don't have the fossils embedded. But we may have some out of some educational components to it too. Rotary is doing the boulders, I believe. And then hopefully the others will be funded as well. So if you're in an organization or have a company that would like to fund something, get in touch with us. We can find you. Another thing that's going in is along the big path that's the access to the stage, the amphitheater area, is an overlook along the creek side and Camp Creek Landing, which is if you walk the trails around Camp Creek. How many of you walked the park? Any of you? Yeah. So along Camp Creek, there is a little area there that's kind of like a sandbar. So that area is going to have access to it so that children can get down that area and put their hand in the water and stir it up if they want to. And so many people had commented about, well, I walked a creek when I was young and I played in a creek. So I would love for their children to be able to at least put their foot down there. So we'll be doing some educational things in that area as well. But you'll have two overlooks, little places for them to stand, like a little deck or woody platform for them to stand and look over the creek. And this area, it says lawn mounds. That's just going to be a big hill. So the children can run up and down a hill. Roll down and slide down, I guess, if it snows. Who knows? What else? Go ahead. New pavilion. 5 new little the areas that have
Where the sales are now.
that have the sails are, I was going to say the campus, yeah, the sails. Those will be little gazebo type facilities, pergolas, and everything that of the structures, the pavilion and the shade structures and the stage will all have kind of the same feel of the same architecture with the field stone base and the beams, that you with hard surfaces. So these won't be the sail surface again, but have a hard roof. Yeah. And then there will be the service area pathways. There are river overlooks too, because people are saying, I want to see the other side. I want to see the river. So there'll be several areas along the riverside to be able to stand up and see the river on the wooden decks there. Also within the plan, this area here is a water garden. Years ago, not years ago, 10 or 15 years ago, the New Albany Garden Club received a peace pole from the Japanese, and it was here. That was that white pole that was sticking up in the middle of the garden area there. And also with like that particular area is going to have a little interpretive. It's going to be interpretive signage along the trails too, that will let people know what the peace pole was. Also, where the DeSoto Rock will be, and several other areas. Probably something that interprets the Tallahatchie River. So as you walk the trails, there'll be those educational, informative components. There's a children's pollinator garden on this side. There's a children's shade garden up here. This is where those the birch trees are. That area where the birch trees are, as you go across the pedestrian bridge. This is a food truck area, so there's spaces for about two to three food trucks, and then a little picnic area here. There'll be new picnic tables scattered around, benches, and some swings for those of us who just want to go sit in a porch swing and listen to the creek gurgle. So, trying to think of a little something for everybody. If you've got something we hadn't thought about, tell us. I don't know if we can stick it in at this time, but we'll try.
I'm glad to see the dog park.
The dog park, yes, over here too.
Miss Betsy, on the back, it references kayaking the hatch. I'm wondering if a portage point and a put-in point was thought about.
It's coming.
It is on the plan with the National Park Service conceptual plan.
So keep in mind, this is the conceptual plan, but out of the city's comprehensive plan was the desire to access and to canoe. And we have some people in the room who've already canoed. But where do they get in? And so yes, that's part of this plan. And this plan even shows a low head dam so that we could stabilize the water level in that area between Bankhead and the interstate, so that, and that doesn't have to be, I mean, it could be 3 or 4 feet to canoe or less. Yeah, kayak. So that's in the plan, but we can't get that in this right now.
Right. No,
But it's here.
a big issue was cleanup of the riverbank there.
Right.
Is that part of this, or
Well,
we're volunteering?
yes, we are going to try. I think the guys are at the park now, and so look at that picture. Look at the picture on your brochure. Look at the level of the trees there. You can't see now from the west side. You can see the east side, but from the east side you can't see the west side. So again, trying hard to be very intentional about what's removed, and so working on getting the undergrowth out and getting the as the guys that were down there the other day talking, the scrubby trees and saving the birches and then also trying to get the kudzu and the vines out of the trees and then trim them up a little bit so you can see. So that's just about everything that we could consider we tried to.
And Betsy, that brings the Community of Excellence. The next phase of this is this summer, June 24th, 25th, and 26th, we're bringing in 2 consultants. And one of them is the executive director of the Tennessee River Line, Brad Collette, who is phenomenal and who has just been instrumental in developing
Susie,
the river
come up
line.
and tell them about that.
Yeah.
Come on. Might as well get the word out right now.
Betsy bosses us around. I'm just doing this. No, so yeah, so the next phase is the Community of Excellence initiative from Create and TDA.
I gotta say one thing. Yeah. So again, this plan, this document has all of this in it. So if we just follow the list of the things to do, it's here. Look, I did what Hilda Hill and what Catherine Dye told me to do. So I'm telling you, girl. here's your to-do list. So in this plan, the guy who was the architect, Russell, whatever his name was, it was Russell Clark, I think. Oh yeah, that's right. He talked about river trails and trail towns, and I knew of trail towns through the Tanglefoot, and I had gotten to know I did get to know that girl, but the bike trail girl that she's getting ready to tell you about. But anyway, long story short, this is Susie Bowman, Coach Bowman and whatever else. But she had been through ARC Leadership Institute last year, Appalachian. And during that class, they went to every state. Did you go to every Appalachian state? She went to 9 states. So she comes back and we were talking, and she says, we need to bring in these 2 gurus. So that's how that happened. And y'all, I'm telling you, every one of these little things has just been one step. And it's been so phenomenal that everything has just fallen into place at the right time. Take it away.
The ARC Leadership Institute is wonderful because it takes us, just takes somebody and lets you go see best practices that are happening in other areas. And so that was great. In my actual cohort was this executive director of the Tennessee Riverline, Brad Collette, and Amy Camp, who is the Trail Town Guru, who helps you become a certified trail town. And when we start to show people like Brad and Amy what we already have going on here in New Albany, they want to get involved. They want to take us to kind of the next level. So we're bringing them in June 24th, 25th, and 26th, and we're nailing down that agenda here shortly. They're going to, we hope, to kayak while Brad's here. He said, I'm bringing my boats. So, and then Amy's going to help us kind of look to see, could we become one of those designated trail towns? And when I traveled around to these other 9 states with these leaders across Appalachia, the outdoor recreation is huge right now. So this is kind of something that I think that is really going to set New Albany on the map. We're well on our way already with this Park Along the River project and the great work that Betsy and Brittany and Billie Jean and everybody who's been involved with this. But that's going to kind of take us to that next level. And I love that you're here today from Chicago, just kind of stepping in and listening to kind of what we have moving forward in this direction. And we love to have people like this come visit us and just want to stop in and make New Albany that catalyst here in Northeast Mississippi. So we're excited to be involved in that. So we will get that agenda out to everybody if you want to be involved in the workshop. So they're going to come workshop with us on June 25th for like a full day. And then they're also going to do a first impressions. When they first arrive here, we're going to take them around and we just want to hear their first impressions of New Albany and pick their brains that way. And then I think we're going to do some river activities. So that'll be fun.
That's going to be really fun too. Yes. And the trail town certification things are gone. That really is, if we could do that, develop, Mississippi doesn't have that, but we were talking about New Albany maybe being a pilot for the state to begin this type of program, because what it does is it gives the community bullet points of things that the community needs to have to be able to be certified for a state trail town. whether it's a bike trail or a water trail, a blueway or a greenway. And so that would bring a lot of national recognition too. But one other thing I wanted to say about the national recognition is like each one of these little icons represents one of those areas that Brittany was talking about the fitness, the inclusive play, the playing with, the inclusive play, and then the play together. Each one of these, so you've got the fitness, you've got adult fitness, you've got nature grounds, and then you've got each one of those represents the best practices and the design by Playcore to have one of these on your playground. And so with these, it's going to be an area where, and I know data is important if people give you the data, but this will set us apart and bring us recognition that we wouldn't have if we weren't intentionally designing this area through Playcore's best practices. Tupelo is going to have 3 of these. We're going to have all 5. And there's, to our knowledge, and to our playground reps' knowledge, there's not another location in the Southeast that has all of these in one spot. So that's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, and that also allows the park to be considered a national demonstration site for Playcore's 5 elements of play. And that allows us to be open to resources where they do collect that data. And there's QR codes that they'll have available and different questionnaires and how they get feedback from the community on how this is actually benefiting us. And let's see, Parkapalooza is going to be May 31st. It's our 3rd annual fundraiser to benefit Park Along the River. Yes, we got a $2 million grant, and we got the support of Toyota and NEEF and many other businesses and organizations in the community, but we still have a long way to go. So we're not going to just lay low and wait for it to come to us. We're just going to keep working to raise that money. And because I have an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old, and the 4-year-old's redheaded and wild, and I need somewhere for her to be able to run and let that energy out. And I just, when we were in Chattanooga and also in Jackson, I felt that our children in this community deserve the opportunity to play on this type of equipment in this type of setting just as much as any child that lives in a larger area does. And if I may drive my husband and Miss Betsy crazy in the process, but I'm going to do everything I can to make that happen while my children are still of age to enjoy it. And I'm thankful that God has opened doors for things to move as He has in the way that it is. So I'm about to give you the microphone back. Y'all, please come join us on May 31st. It's going to be at the B&A Tennis and Soccer Complex this year. Because of the construction that's going on at the park.
Another thought is that in developing this is that Union County and everything it's the city, it's the county, it's the state, it's the region. We don't have a county lake. We don't have a state park, but we do have a river, and we do have a park along the river, and that's going to be our park, the county's park, the city's park of New Albany, Myrtle's Park, Blue Springs Park.
The region's park.
The region.
There will be people from all over the place.
Yes, they will be. So let's make it happen. There will be opportunities for sponsorships of park benches, of picnic tables, of other things for you individually, or families, or organizations. And so just stay tuned. It may take us a year, it may take us 2 years, it may take us 3 years. Okay, open for questions. Ask away.
What's the current timeline on when we think the park's going to be open and usable?
Well, you know what? If we had our druthers and in a perfect world, it would already happen, right? um, we have the 2 million to do the hard structure. You know, depending on the weather, depending on funding, and I will tell you that we are going after every dollar we can in every source that we can. So past that 2 million, at this point, I can't tell you anything other than we might have parking and we may have pathways within first of the year. I don't know. So for right now, for all practical purposes, the park along the river is closed, and we just would hope that everybody would use the Tallahatchie Trail, which is the trail on the west side of the river, that is all the way from Bankhead to the sports flags. There's a gazebo over there. There are benches. There are overlooks on that side. We just encourage you to continue to use that area, and we're ready to move to hopefully at least that could be open. Maybe fall, maybe spring. I wish I could give you a definite answer, but depending on the weather too. Anything else? Okay. Thank y'all so much. Really appreciate you coming. Pass the word.
Like the mural, like that all, it all.